Welcome back to the Hometown Friends podcast, where we make connections between our most foundational friendships and the people that we are today. My name is Chandler Hoffman, and I'm your host of this podcast, and I make my living as a clinical psychologist. My passion for friendship developed early on, and partially because of my experience of growing up in poverty, and as someone who depended on the relationships outside of my family to help me thrive and achieve well-being. Like most of us, I've experienced many hardships and challenges, and every time I did, I was helped by the support or the simple knowledge of the friendly connections that I had from the people in my hometown of Berkeley, California. And I credit my successes in my life to the friendships that helped me thrive. In this episode, I talked to my first friend from first grade, Carvel Watson, who befriended me on the first day of school and who I appreciate as one of the first of many relationships that helped me navigate the big wide world as a small and vulnerable child. In this interview, Carvel and I relive the experiences of childhood together and how we helped each other grow and learn. We also try to figure out how we grew apart. The astonishing thing about this relationship to me, and what I believe is a part of the hometown friend experience, is the extreme loyalty that we feel for each other and what we have represented to each other throughout our lives. The first experiences of developing friendships in a child's life is a seminal experience, and I have Carvel to thank for helping me feel a sense of connection and belonging early on. Our discussion covers challenging issues like having an alcoholic parent or a relative, the fear of being bullied or picked on, feeling a sense of loss of community as we grow older, and the difficult experiences of loneliness. It also covers uplifting issues like how we learned to ride bikes together, which provided us both a sense of freedom to this day. We also recall the feeling of connection to each other's families and our mothers specifically, and we recall the love and the kindness that teachers gave us and other friends' families gave us, who showed us a different way of being. We make connections to the simple acts of kindness and human connections that are available to us all, even in today's society. Please enjoy this heartfelt discussion with my friend, Carvel Watson.
Yes.
Carvel Watson.
Be in the flesh.
It's good to see your face and your smile.
Yours too. You know, I was looking for. I have a picture of you and I, and I think we were in Miss Fish Leader's class. Who was our teacher?
Oh my God!
But I have a picture somewhere. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna send it to you.
That was like the worst teacher I ever had, dude.
Yes, indeed.
First of all, I super appreciate you responding to me. And just texting me back. I've seen you a couple recent times. It just hit me how long I have known you and how much affection I have for you. And your smile is the same. We have some more lines on our faces.
Yes, indeed.
But the smile and the eyes are the same.
Yeah.
And I always say it. I always give you credit for being my first friend in California, because I came from Atlanta, and I went to first grade at LeConte.
Yep.
And I sat down next to this young, strapping, beautiful, smiling guy, and that was Carvel Watson. And we were in an amazing class with Miss Davis.
Yeah.
Who I absolutely loved.
Miss Davis was the bomb.
And I felt good. I felt good sitting next to you, and I felt good in Miss Davis's class. And I was scared, and I was new. And you were a friendly face, and we became friends quickly.
Very quickly.
Do you remember that?
I do. I remember that. We became friends really quick. We started hanging out. We started going to the Oakland Museum on Saturdays. And
oh shit!
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we went to the Oakland Museum on Saturdays, and I would come over and hang out at your house. Your mom was super nice, and I remember your mom and my mom becoming friends, and they would talk.
Shit.
When I didn't even know it, and then my mom would be like, "Oh, I talked to Chandler's mom," and I'd be like, "Wait, what?" So, and I'd always love seeing you I remember when you came into class, and I was like, you like you said, you didn't know anybody, and I didn't have any friends, and I was like, man, and you were cool, you were super cool. There was no like I don't know this dude. Like it was like you were like reaching out, like I got to find my way around this place, and hopefully this cat can help me do that. And I was glad to help you do that.
That's fantastic. I did not remember that our moms were friends. I remember your mom well. I remember what she looked like. I remember her being super nice when I would come over to your house.
Yeah,
I did not remember that our parents, that our folks, that our moms became friends. It doesn't surprise me, but I didn't remember that. That was
yeah,
a sense of connection and community
yes.
right away.
Which which we had back then.
Man, go ahead.
I mean, we had real community back then, and we really lost that.
Yeah, I want to talk about that with you because I read over the survey, and it seems that that came through in the survey, the feeling of loss of real community and connection.
Yeah, there's been a disconnect, a real disconnect with people, and I don't know how we're going to get that back, but we need to get that back because everyone like the survey, the hometown, the survey you had me take. It was like it really made me think about my relationships with people and my relationships with the community, and they've really fallen. And not just with me, but with it seems with everyone. Everyone's worried about themselves and not worried about each other anymore. So
Wow, I get that sense, and I got that sense from your experience. What we're doing right now, I hope, is building our community. I hope that we are reconnecting for good reason,
yeah,
for whatever has allowed us to stay connected in very loose ways. Um, there's a sense of loyalty that I have for you, Carvel, that you must have for me. Otherwise, you would not be here today.
yeah, there is. Chandler, I love you, Chandler, and you've been a mainstay in my life. Like we've seen, like you said, we see. I remember when I saw you at Dan K's party, and you had your baby with you, and you let me hold your baby.
Wow.
Yeah, and you let me hold your baby, and I met your wife,
Hell yeah.
and
Yep.
it was like I had seen you like the day before.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
It's like we were, no, dude, this is why we're doing this, right? Is that we're connecting, we're replaying the friendship that we have, the closeness that we have, the trust that we have for each other from first grade.
Indeed. Yeah.
It's
Oh,
it's super deep to me to
to me
have
as well.
these people in my life that I have known for so long, that have history with me, that were in my classes together with me. First of all, when I sat next to you, Carvel, I could barely read. I don't think I could read.
Oh
I
my.
was in first grade, and I was supposed to have been able to read, but I could not read. So I was figuring out, and I don't know if I was cheating off you, but I was learning from you because you could read and you
Yeah,
were a good math student. I remember that. And so I remember relying on you. Like, this dude will help me out. He'll let me look over his shoulder. He'll he'll when I would reach over and say, "What the hell's going on here?" You would point. say, okay, and then it would come to me,
Right on.
and I was learning on the fly with you as my partner. And Miss Davis was so loving that I felt safe enough to, I think, begin to learn.
Yes.
In contrast to Miss Fish Leader, who was not loving, or I did not feel the love from,
No.
and who I felt again behind and judged. And I remember the teacher feedback, parent teacher conference,
Yeah.
and her basically just shaking her head, being like, your son does not, he's not ready, he's not academically achieving. And my mom was like, you don't know what you're talking about.
You don't.
She basically was like, you really don't know what you're talking about. My son is smart.
You know, I'm gonna tell you, I really did not learn very much in her classroom. And she was a really mean lady and a really stern lady. And I think she was just,
Yep.
she was just there. She just babysitted us most of the. So yeah, Miss Fish Leader was not a good teacher
Yep.
at all.
No, because she missed the thing that Miss Davis had in spades, which was love,
Yes.
which was kindness, love, attention to these little children who are trying to make their way and learn something.
Yes.
And that's all it took.
Ran into a lot of teachers like that in the Berkeley school system who really, were
A lot of teachers in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
They think they're supposed to be teaching something,
Yeah.
but they're not. They're supposed to be teaching. They're supposed to be paying attention and loving. Let's keep telling these stories because they're bringing back amazing memories of both pain, but friendship.
Yes.
And support, and that you were, man, I have so many memories of going to your house on Woolsey Street, right, I know exactly where it is. I remember that big ass house.
Yeah, I remember. I remember. I lived half a block away from the smokehouse, so we used to go there and get French fries and
Yes, we
get
did.
burgers and stuff. Yeah, we did by ourselves. Like
Yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
right
It was
over
the
there.
70s.
Yeah, it was.
I took the bus to your house, I think, from Albany. We moved uh, from Grove Street down to Albany when my mom got into Cal, and we got to live in student housing, and so I started taking the bus, the AC Transit bus, when I was 6 years old, by myself, from Albany to LeConte.
Wow.
And so I used to take the bus to your house too. So yeah, I would take the bus from Albany, which is about a 45-minute public bus ride, to go to school every day, and then walk up to LeConte, like about 4 blocks by myself. My mom trailed the bus the first day, and then the second day I was all by myself. And then sometimes on the weekends I would come visit you on the Woolsey Street with the big house. And in fact, I learned how to ride a bike at your house, in the garage, in the covered garage, to one right next door. Do you remember that?
Next door. Yep. Right next door. Yeah, I do remember that. And we would ride around in circles in that thing.
So we go back so far, Carvel, and I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being my friend, for being my first friend. You know, I came from, and I noticed on your survey, so I'd like to talk a little bit about it. You know, I came from Atlanta, and we were living in poverty, in public housing. We came to California. I think my mom really wanted to, go to the university. We just came for a visit. Then she fell in love with it, and we stayed. And then she left me and went back and got all this stuff. I got a million terrible stories about being left, but um, but having you as a friend, that started my Berkeley experience, and from then it just got better and better and better because I had more and more connections and more friendships, and I was able to escape my mom's alcoholism and the poverty that I was experiencing. And I did not like being in poverty. No one likes being in poverty.
They don't. Chandler, you just said something that I did not know.
Right.
And I did not know your mom was an alcoholic, Chandler.
I know, dude. No, I didn't tell anybody. I didn't even know, really.
Well,
Who
it's
knows
funny that
these things?
because I was dealing with the same thing because my aunt was an alcoholic. And at the time that we were hanging out, my aunt was a full blown alcoholic. And wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was chaos, as we could probably trade stories around, huh?
Indeed, we could because it was chaos. It was chaos. But we
Mm-hmm.
had some good times in there. We had some good times in there. And I will
Oh
say
my
this
God.
about my aunt.
Oh my God.
She, yeah. She took it. She made sure that Simone and I were safe.
Simone. I haven't heard her name in so long.
Yeah. Simone's a grandmother now. She has 10 grandkids.
Oh my God. 10 grandkids?
10
That's
grandkids.
so amazing. Nice. Please tell Simone that I say hello if she would remember me.
Oh, she'll remember you, and I will. She'll be like, "What? You tell him I said what's up?" Yeah.
That's so great. I remember that that's also your home was where I met Carmen and Bridget.
Yep.
They were somehow related to you. Is that correct?
No, they were not, but we considered ourselves family. My immediate family, we're close, but we're not super close. And we spend time, but we don't spend a lot of time. And so right now, all of those people that we're talking about, that's the type of relationship that I have with those. Like we know each other, but we don't spend a lot of time together anymore. We have all these memories, but we don't sit and share them anymore. And I don't see these people. Everyone, got their own lives, and they're caught up in that. And and now it's so easy for them to share it on social media that they don't really have to reach out to you and share it with you, like in person. I was
Right.
telling my mom a story today about this young man. Well, this gentleman who reached out to me on Facebook and
Mm.
asked for a friend request. And so I said, sure. And so I saw him out a few months later, and he didn't even know who I was. I said hello to him,
Right.
I said, hey, what's up? And he looked at me, he said hello, and he kept it moving. And I was like,
Right.
wow. And I was like, well, that's how it is right now. And so, like we were just talking about with Carmen, like I don't see them anymore. I don't see a lot of people anymore. And it's great when I see you out in public and you shout out and throw the hand up, say what's happening. And even like when I saw you at the reggae show with your wife, you guys stopped and talked to me. And so, yeah,
I don't see another way to do it, Carvel.
I think the way for me is that we might have to like have a little get together or something and just invite people and just catch up
Mm.
because Right now, I'm just
Yeah.
throwing pictures around on Instagram and Facebook and saying thank you and all that other
Right.
stuff. And it's cool, but I haven't seen, and I've seen a few people out and about, but that's about it.
It's interesting. You bring up a really important point, right? Which is that social media has taken the place of community involvement and actually personally having relationships with people.
Yes, I feel that way because, like I was saying, like, all I have to do is take a picture and share it with some people, and keep on going. Or somebody might throw some. I mean, I've seen some of the nastiest comments on some of the simplest things on social media, and so I don't want to get into all of that, but it's just, yeah, it really has taken the place of personal interaction between people.
Well, this is actually why I wanted to do this, Carvel, because we're actually having a conversation. And
Yeah,
yes, we are separated by some miles, possibly, or maybe even a half a mile or whatever. We're in the stratosphere. But
yeah,
this gives me an opportunity. In fact, I think it is so selfish of me, truthfully. It just gives me an opportunity to have conversations with people that I love and that I appreciate and that I'm curious about and that I'm curious about their lives.
yeah.
Tell me about your story a little bit, because somehow, some way, after being so close, we lost each other somehow.
We did.
I'm
Yeah.
actually not sure how.
Neither am I. I'm not sure either. I think maybe we just, I, I, Chandler, I couldn't tell you. Yeah,
I can't
but I
say it
never
either.
felt like I never felt like we like lost touch though, because like you said, we've seen each other here and there throughout the years, and it was always love when we saw each other. It was never any bad feelings or any bad words or like, oh, so it's always been like that. But I don't know how we lost touch. I think we just made different friends and started doing different things, and
Yep.
and yeah. But we always, in Berkeley, we always knew that, pretty much knew a lot of the same people.
Yeah, somehow we've met other people. We grew. I guess that they say that we grew apart, but we didn't. There was, as you said, there was never any animosity. There was not a
Oh,
thing that didn't that happened. We expanded. We
yeah,
had different friends. I think we had what
yep.
there were a couple of the same friends. Do you remember? I remember we were very good friends. I think with Eric David.
Wow. I cannot, okay. Yes, Eric David was, had become, I think after we became friends, I mean, after we kind of like stopped hanging out so much, Eric and I became really, really good friends. He lived right on Deacon Street.
Yep.
Yeah, me and Eric became really, really good friends. And and I was hanging out at his house a lot, and he would come over to my house, and our parents and whatever. But me and Eric, we had become really good friends. And then when we got into high school, Eric started making new friends,
Mm-hmm.
and we kind of like stopped being friends.
Mm. Well, I remember his house on Deacon, going over there, and that was the first house that had soda, like Coca Cola and Pepsi,
Yeah, yep,
and that was definitely not in my house.
yeah. That wasn't at my house either.
Right.
Yeah. Eric's house. That's the first place I took a little sip of some alcohol.
Okay.
Yeah,
Does happen. Some house, someplace.
yeah,
Yep. When I look back on it, though, Carvel, again, it's one of the reasons why I'm doing this and sharing, I don't know what I would have done as a little kid. I would have felt, I was already feeling so lonely and so scared. And then when I got to school and sat next to you and had a friend, everything seemed to get better. The whole world brightened up. It became more colorful.
And mine did as well. I I was really looking for a friend, and when you came and sat next to my desk, and then I heard your story from the teacher, and I was like, man, is he? You know, he's gonna need. I said that to myself, like he's gonna need somebody to, you know, hang out with at lunch, you know, and hang out in the you know, during recess, and because I know what it was like to be not to, you know, not only to be the new kid, because I was the new kid at LeConte when I in kindergarten, and but I know what it was like to be the new kid, and it's not fun.
It's scary.
But, yeah, it's scary. It's super scary.
It's so far back there, but it's like yesterday we were sitting next to each other. I don't have a lot of memories of us at middle school or even at Malcolm X. You went to Malcolm X, I'm assuming?
Yeah, yes, I did go to Malcolm X. No, we didn't hang out at Malcolm X.
Damn. So weird.
Because, and that was another school I was just trying to make it.
Mm-hmm.
And at Malcolm X, because like I tell my daughter sometimes, like I was scared the whole time I was in elementary school. And
Scared of what?
of not knowing. Like I didn't know what was going to happen from day to day, and school was okay. It was, you know, like I didn't enjoy it like the you know, we didn't have very good. Did you have Miss Wood?
Yep.
Yeah, she wasn't cool.
Mm-mm.
And there were some bullies at the school, you know, who took their turn with me, you know.
Yep.
And I really didn't know. Yeah, I would, you know, when school was over, sometimes when I wouldn't even catch the bus. I would just leave. I would just walk home.
Really?
Yeah, so I could get the hell out of there. And because yeah, it was a strange time. School was weird for me. It just we did yeah.
Only in Berkeley do we have a school called Malcolm X, by the way. Just say, I mean, that is a shout out to Berkeley.
Shout out to Berkeley.
But I remember one teacher said, Chandler, you're passing by the skin of your teeth. And that was the first time I'd ever heard that phrase. And I remember having this image. I still have the image today of like literally hanging on a string by the skin of your teeth, you know, with your mouth open kind of thing.
Yeah.
And damn, Carvel, I wrote a fucking doctoral dissertation. Somehow I figured out how to read and write a dissertation. I swear to God, I don't know how I got here.
All the hard work you put in, Chandler, and all of the things that have shaped you, like all of us through our lives, our family, like your friends, your hometown friends, the friends you had in college, and the friends that you probably have in your profession, and so all of that is you must have had people in your corner pushing you and telling you that you could do it.
Yeah, there were lots of people, but yeah, and certainly even my mom, she's super educated, but being an alcoholic and depressed, she didn't pay that much attention. I think I was trying to figure out, and this is it, Carvel. I figured out that if I was going to do it, if I was going to make it, I had to turn to other people. I had to figure out the people in my community to connect with. And I started doing that very early, probably at the time that I walked into first grade and sat next to you and looked over your shoulder and thought, this guy knows how to read and do math. And so he can help me.
My mom made sure we knew how to read.
Yep.
And I was okay at math.
I thought I have this image of you being really good at math. I remember the crazy part, Carvel, is I remember the shirt you were wearing the first day of school.
Really?
It was a striped shirt with like white and brown stripes. You were fitted. You had brown pants on and a brown and white shirt.
Now that you say that, I remember that.
Yep.
I remember that
You
now.
looked cool, dude. Your hair was all straightened. I mean, your hair was like soup, everything was nice. You looked clean.
Yeah.
I remember my shirt looking down, it was dirty. It was not new clothes for some reason. I didn't have the new, you know, school clothes that
Yeah.
kids are supposed to have. My mom
Yeah.
just didn't think that was important. I was going to say, I remember those bullies at Malcolm X, and I definitely got myself beat up a couple times because, of course, I was chubby, and that brought me some attention I did not want.
Yeah. I remember people used to mention that all the time, and I would just be like, "So what? Who cares?"
Kids can be mean, man. Kids are mean.
That kids are mean.
Kids can be they're looking for the power. We're all looking to have some control and some power, especially if they're getting teased, then you got to tease somebody else. So it always rolled down to me on my chubby, being the fat kid a little bit. But I realize now, Carvel, that I developed something that really served me. Two things, I think. One is, even though I was being teased, I had friends that had my back, like you. So I was able to make friends, and friends that helped me survive. That helped me not be so afraid because people were around me and
Yeah.
they would have my back, so to speak. They would not participate or judge.
Yeah. I think that's why how Eric because Eric had my back. Like there was a lot of bullies
Hmm.
during those times, and Eric actually showed me how to take care of myself.
How so?
He had two older brothers, and Jeff and Ray. They were cool. They would always be like, "Carvel, you're cool. You're a cool kid. I like you." So it was for me to hang out.
Yeah.
They would show me stuff and Eric would show me stuff because his brothers would show him stuff. And so Eric would, be like, "Oh, somebody does this, then do that."
Right.
Right. Then he was, he really, he really helped me with that. And I remember this one day, this dude named Gary, he kept messing with me, and he jumped me over at the smokehouse. And Eric just happened to come by the house, and my mom told him I was up there, and he came up there. And man, me and Eric whooped that fool's behind.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And Eric was like, "Man, if I ever catch you on my friend again," I was like, "Wow." He's like, "We whooped his behind," and Eric totally had my back.
Wow.
He totally completely had my back. And I was just like,
Wow. Eric was a hockey player.
he got me into hockey, but I didn't like it.
Right.
But he was a really good hockey player.
Yep. But hockey players know how to fight.
Yep. He knew how to fight. And I got to see that at a couple of games. I was just like, yeah, he knew how to fight, and he showed me, how to get down.
Yep. I remember I had one fight at Malcolm X, and I got my ass kicked. And I never fought again, Carvel. I was like, I don't do this very well.
Okay.
I can't, as much as I got teased, this is the second thing that I learned. Not only did I have friends, I learned how to laugh at myself. It's a good skill to have, to not take it so personally and be able to laugh at yourself.
Yep. Indeed.
So we moved through and into Berkeley High, and what was that like for you? High school friends.
High school was a trip. Berkeley High was there was a lot going on, and I was trying to get up in the middle of just hanging out. I just wanted to have some friends and kick it and hang out and go do some stuff. I started smoking herb at Berkeley High.
Mm-hmm.
I started drinking beer when I was at Berkeley High,
Mm-hmm.
and started partying a little bit.
As did most of us.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
but I but what had got really big in my life when I was at Berkeley High was I started playing basketball a lot. And that was really big with a lot of, we would always meet up here. We'd always go up to John Muir,
Yep.
Emerson, or up to Hearst, or wherever Cass was balling, man. We would just travel around and go play ball and smoke our little herb and drink our little beer and hang out.
Yep.
Yeah. High school was a trip, though, because, and as far as the school part, I was cutting school a lot.
Where were you going if you weren't going to school?
Okay, I would go to the library, go get something to eat, and go smoke some herb
Mm-hmm.
here, and then meet up with cats up at the hoop court, and we hoop, and then so that kind of became my life for a long time.
Yeah. Basketball, smoking herb, and drinking brew.
Yeah, well, yeah, and reading a little bit here and there. I was, like I was never stupid, so. And I like to read, I like to, and at the time I was like, I would go to the library in the morning. And I would find something to read that I enjoyed reading on, and I would read about it.
Wow. So you were educating yourself.
I was educating myself because I'd had some experiences at Willard, and I'd also had some experiences at Berkeley High where it was like, nah, these people aren't really here for me. Like we were talking, like when you had a problem, when I have a problem, instead of helping me to solve the problem, they would just be like, well, you need to figure that out. And it's like, okay, well then that's what I did. I had to figure it out. And so, and for me, figuring it out was going to the library,
Right.
and getting a book on Haile Selassie. I get a book on Haile Selassie, so I read about Haile Selassie.
Wow.
Get a book on Harriet Tubman, things like that. I would just go get books on
Mm-hmm.
people, things, places, and I just read about it.
That's amazing. Do you would you feel comfortable telling me about the things that were going on that you needed support for that you didn't get?
Yeah, like I think the things I wasn't getting support on how to navigate myself. And trying to figure out how to navigate myself through everything that was going on, and all I was getting even from home was, you got to figure it out.
So you're on your own.
I've been on my own. I've been taking care of myself, even though someone's been taking care, helping take care of me. I've been taking care of myself. I've been navigating my way through life on my own, and feel, sometimes, no, not even sometimes, and feeling like I have to figure it out.
So you're saying you got the message early on that you had to figure it out. And then the message was no one can help you. You have to have this individual way to figure it out.
Yeah.
And that has somehow stuck.
Yes. And I'm still trying to figure out how to navigate myself without halting myself and letting fear take over whatever it is I'm trying to accomplish.
Yep.
It's so easy for me to come up with an idea and then 5 minutes later talk myself out of said idea through fear. And that's really been a big part of my life, is just giving into fear and just stifling myself because I don't want to fail.
Yep.
I've been like that, like Chandler, I've been like that for a lot of my life, where I'm afraid to fail, and afraid to be looked at as a failure.
I think that's a very common experience. I think that is one of the most heart-wrenching things that the human goes through, is that we are scared, and
Yes.
it holds us back from actually doing things that would actually bring us success, joy, accomplishment, meaning.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's been rough.
Yeah, I bet. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
To sort of divert back to the friendships and the fear, because I can really relate to the fear. I was scared all the time. In fact, I just realized probably last week that my baseline is fear, and that I'm always managing it with all these other things. And the way I think I survived, and the way I think I was able to actually thrive through feeling all that fear. And again, it comes back to this project. It's been these people that have paid attention to me and given me the sense that I wasn't alone,
Yes.
and that somebody had my back, starting with Carvel. Yep. And continuing on through all these Berkeley people. And yes, my college friends and my work friends, but no one has, and maybe it's just because of the age, but I never felt as, I think because when you're an adolescent and you need that, and if you feel it, or you're lucky enough, or you pay attention enough, or you're aware enough, that people do have your back, or you feel it enough, or a teacher pays you attention. I mean, I got a couple teachers that paid some attention to me.
Yeah.
And a lot of, more that didn't, but just a few that did. I think that's all you need. I mean, that was all I needed. I needed Miss Delp in Willard to say, you write beautifully. You don't need to be in my lower level class. You need to be in the upper level class. That gave me a whole lot of permission to do what I have done. When she put me up into that next class, I floundered. I was like overwhelmed with all the information. All those kids they were so ahead of me. And again, I was back to sort of, shit, what do I do here? Just keep fighting.
I was never going to do well in that. And I never finished high school.
Did not know that.
I never finished high school. Like I said, I've been teaching myself.
That's good.
And continuing to learn about myself. I was really, 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 really always trying to figure things out.
Right. It seems like you needed support. You needed time from people. And you felt like they didn't have enough time.
They didn't even make the time. It was just you got food to eat, you got a roof over your head, you got shoes on your feet.
Yeah.
What more do you need?
You had the external things.
Yes.
But you needed someone to pay attention to and have you share your internal things with.
all through school, I always felt like, and like you said, I was always scared,
Yeah.
always.
Damn.
And that's probably why I didn't go to school, because I was scared to go to school
Right.
at when I was at Berkeley High. And when I was at Willard, I I cowered in and worked in the uh at the snack
I remember
bar
that.
during recess and stuff, because I didn't want to be out on the recess out on the because there was cats out there who were pushing me around, calling me names, whatever, and I not only did I not want to deal with it, I didn't know how to deal with
Of
it.
course.
And I didn't know who to tell.
Right. Damn.
And then if I told, I'm a snitch.
Right.
And there's these, oh, you're a tattletale, you're a snitch. And there's this whole, so it was, school was really hard for me.
Yeah.
School was really, really hard for me.
Damn, dude.
And it didn't get any better, because I was a latchkey kid.
Yep.
So to this day, people are like, why do you like television so much? You know why I like television so much? Because television was my friend.
Wow.
I would come home, open the door, I would go get some cereal or something and turn the TV on. Somebody else we were interacting.
Yeah, dude. So what do you think happened? Because you did have a crew and you did play basketball and I remember, I have so many little snippet memories of you being on the courtyard. I didn't know that. I do kind of remember that I lost track of who, we had so many kids up at Berkeley High. So it doesn't surprise me that I kind of missed that senior year, but you had friends, you had people that loved you.
I think I had people that I hung out with.
Okay.
The only other at that time, the only friend that I really had. Do you remember a cat named Chris Jordan?
Yeah.
Me and Chris Jordan, we became really good friends.
So if you didn't feel connected to somebody or to anybody, then and you felt like it was always your responsibility to take care of yourself, then I understand why you have said you did not really feel a sense of belonging.
Like I made a few friends along the way, but like I was friends with Mike Simpson when we were playing soccer, and we were friends for a while, and then we kind of just fell off, like you and I did. We weren't mad at each other. We just fell off. Greg Sanders, we became friends when I was playing soccer, and me and Greg started hanging out tough. We kind of just fell off.
Well, let me ask you this, Carvel, because I'm curious about this. So these are these people that you actually became really close with. The fact that we were really close, and then you were close with all these other people, and then there's this sense that it doesn't last.
Yeah.
But there's also, if you're sort of bringing up these memories, I'm also getting these images of people that, however short period of time, and it probably longer than just a minute. Yeah. People did give you love, right? These are families. These are TA. I know TA's dad was a big, he was a coach, and
yeah,
and you went over to the house. Like for me, that was when I went to these people's houses. It was a model for me. It was a model of what I wanted to become. I didn't want the family that I was coming from. I didn't want poverty, and I didn't want alcoholism, and I was definitely like alone, but then I connected with these people, and I'm not actually still friends with a lot of them, but God, do I feel gratitude for those times.
Me too. I do as well, and I think you're right. Yeah, I remember Greg's mom took me up to Sweet Dreams and bought me a Nerf football for my birthday.
That's a great story.
So these people invited me into their homes and showed me love. And I think Chandler, I think when I look back, I think it was, I just, maybe I didn't have anything to give back except for myself to show this gratitude. And a lot of times I didn't feel like that was enough.
Right.
And so, I wasn't really allowed to have people at my home. I wasn't allowed to have, like when I had one slumber party. I think you spent the night at my house a few times.
I definitely did. I remember.
I had one slumber party and invited some people over, and that was the only time that ever happened.
Wow. Why is that?
Because my mom didn't want a bunch of kids in that
Right.
house.
That's lonely to not be with people. And it was not lonely at other people's house.
Nope.
So we share that.
Yeah, because it wasn't hell or anything, but it was just it was not. I was alone.
Yeah. Being alone sucks. Feeling alone sucks.
Feeling alone sucks. Feeling like nobody, and it's like, and especially when you're right in it, right in the middle of it, and you realize it, and you're like, oh my God, I'm not just lonely, I'm alone, and I don't have anybody that I could turn to and say, I'm dealing with, I feel like, and get some kind of response.
People paying attention.
Yeah.
That's what we all need, Carvel.
And it really seems like people are not paying attention. People are, even when someone's sitting there and they're not saying a word, but you can feel like these reverberations coming off their body and they're screaming.
Yeah.
Somebody just reach out.
Yeah. I think back to your other point, so astute, is that we have these things that have these like social medias and these textings and these technologies that have taken the place of the human needs for affiliation.
Yes.
And they are short shrifting us somehow.
They're making it easy for us to be disconnected while trying to be connected.
Yes. It's the illusion of being connected.
Yes, the illusion of, well said. It's the illusion of connection. It's cool. Like, yeah. Oh, yeah, look, there's my homie sitting at a bar hanging out. That's a cool picture.
Right.
Why didn't they call me?
Right.
We could all be hanging out, and we don't. Or like, I don't know. It's just,
It's disappointing, isn't it?
It's very disappointing.
Yeah.
And it's even more so when you realize it and feel like you become a part of it. Yeah, I've become a part of it. It's easy for me to just text somebody and say, "Hey, how you doing?" and then keep it pushing instead of dialing the number and checking in on people.
Right.
Yeah. But I don't feel like that because nobody checks in on me. But maybe I should be the one who's checking in on people. Maybe somebody will check in on me.
Do you know there's a great study, though, Carvel, that I just learned about? And when we take, I don't know how they studied this, but the result is we are liked way more than we think we are. People like us way more than we think they do.
I don't feel like that. And maybe it was be like we're talking about social media, and it's been, like for it's as easy it has been for me, it's also been easy for other people to disconnect. So
Sure.
and so no one's saying anything or no one's acting in a way where I feel like that.
Right. I appreciate the candor and your honesty and your vulnerability here.
Well, I don't get to be like that very often, and I don't know who is going to hear this, but maybe somebody else is dealing with the same thing
Guaranteed.
and might be able to extract something from this conversation that you and I are having and make some changes for themselves.
What would, based on this conversation, what might you encourage people to do if they are feeling this fear and this sense of loneliness and isolation?
Wow, that's a good question. I would, I guess if I would tell them, I would be also telling myself that I guess you just, maybe to find somebody that you can talk to, and that might be hard right now, but maybe like somewhere where you like we're doing like where I can be open. I don't mind. This has been very therapeutic, so I've enjoyed speaking with you and being open. And if I'm lying to you or if I'm being phony, I'm not going to get anything out of it, and neither are you. And I'm not here to waste your time or mine. So, yeah, I would just say, uh, yeah, try to find somebody to talk to. Yeah, I need to take, and maybe I need to take some time and talk to some of the people that are in my life and really explain myself, and or and so they can explain themselves
That's good advice.
and see where this is coming from and why this is happening, because and it has happened. I know my mom told me something when I got a little older, and you know, she said, "Carvel, I thought you were going to be a really bad kid." And she said, "I thought you were going to be getting in all kind of trouble, going to jail,
Shit.
doing this and doing that." And I didn't turn out to be anything like that. But she also told me that she's like, "So I had given up on you a long time ago."
Oh, shit.
And so I was just, not only did that fuck me up, but it really explained some
Yeah.
things. It really like, and like turned a light on, and it like made me like, well, wow, okay. No wonder that happened, and no wonder this happened, and no wonder that happened.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so that I'm not saying that, she did it, but that was one of the things that really let me know why I wasn't getting a lot of the things that I needed
Yeah.
from her.
Yeah. That makes sense. If she had actually given up, then she wasn't paying attention as much as
Yeah,
you needed her to.
yeah.
And again,
But she
we don't get to, our parents, they have so much, they are human beings, and they
it,
they have their own stuff.
that's right. Yep.
And yet so they cannot pay attention. In fact, my mom, she never said that to me, but in her actions, I figured out she wasn't capable of
Yeah.
paying attention to me the way I needed to be paid attention to. So I went out and found it through my friendships. People stand in for us. People pay us attention. They do, and we sometimes forget that they have. I think that's one of the, again, it's why I'm delving into this because when my mom died in May, I started having, I went to therapy and then I started doing a mindfulness practice, and all these memories cards coming out of me.
Yeah.
And I had this, I would get up in the morning at like 5 o'clock and meditate. And now I start crying. I do it a lot, actually, with all these memories of crying for sadness, but crying because can't believe people showed me that much love.
Yeah.
They didn't need to, Carvel.
Yeah.
You didn't need to be nice to me, but you did. You were. Your mom didn't need to welcome me into your house, but she did. All those kids around there, I have so many vivid memories, and then just knowing, Carmen and Bridget, just like seriously, every single class, it seemed like we were in the same class together.
And Carmen lived right next door to me, and Bridget lived right around the corner.
Yep.
And they were my family. They were my extended family. Because, of course, like we were saying, like Bridget, her family invited me into their home. I was friends with James.
Yep.
And Jesse. And I was friends with Carmen and Nikki. So, and then their family invited me into their home all the time. And Barbara, I remember Barbara, she took us, Carmen and you know how Carmen and them, they were all into singing and performing.
Oh yeah.
And so Carmen, they had done their own version of Grease at the house.
Love it.
And so when the movie Grease came out, Barbara took her mom Barbara, she took us all to the movies over at Albany, to the theater over in Albany, and she took us all to go see Grease.
I saw it at that place too, at the Albany Theater.
Yep. And she took us all to go see that. And like, that was like, and we had Emma and Ninny upstairs, and their mom, like they would have parties, and they would invite us. And we had real community, back then. Like mom, like, I used to say, you see the kids out, see the mom might stick her head. What are you guys doing out there? Like, it was like that. And, I would do stuff and then get home. And then my mom had got the phone call, Carvel, such and such just called me and told me they saw you doing this and this and that.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but now everyone just, I don't know what their parents might do. And, it's just, you can't say anything anymore, or you can't just be there for people anymore. And there's no community. Like I was telling somebody else, I'm out. When I was coming up, and I'd be out on my bike riding around, and there'd be people out on their porch, or there'd be kids outside playing, or just taking a walk through the neighborhood, and you see people, and like you say hi, and you don't see that anymore. I don't see that anymore. I'm like, what happened to the community? What happened to these people? Come out of your house and say hello to your neighbor. Say hello to somebody that's walking by. They might not even live in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
Say hello to the dude that's riding by on his bike. And the next time he rides by, he's going to say hi to you.
Yeah.
The next time that little girl and her mom walk by, if you speak to them, they're going to speak to you.
Yeah.
And then the next thing you know, you built some kind of little friendship, and you see each other, you say hello, and then you got some community. Oh, that's such and such from around the corner.
Yep.
But now you don't have that.
Well, here's the thing, Carvel. I don't actually agree with that. I don't think that we don't have it. I think that you're right the first time by saying we've depended on these other things, and they're taking the place. They're giving us this illusion that we are connected and that we don't need to do that anymore. But actually, we can do it, and people do it. People go outside. People do say hi. Dude.
Yes. I'm gonna tell you, I went to Trader Joe's not recently, and I was in line. I'm getting, now I'm paying for my stuff, and the cashier, she says, she says, "How are you doing?" And so I said, "I'm fine," and, and so she went. She said, "Oh, I'm glad." And then, and then I said, "How much? How much do I owe you?" And she's like, "Oh, oh my God!" And then so not only did we have this little interaction, this little thing that she decided to go along with me, along with. We touched the other cashier, and she was like, "Oh my God, that was so beautiful."
Love it.
And I walked out of there with the biggest grin on my face. And when I got outside, I was taking my lock off, and I was like, that just made my whole day. And I was like, and I have little small interactions like that with people that still give me faith and still make me think that, okay, we're still in it. Maybe some people don't or not even don't know, but have forgotten how to be in it. But sometimes they remember, and they'll give it to you, they'll show it to you.
I think,
And
Carvel, way more than we think. At the basis of it all, it's not hard. It's just that we've put all these blocks.
yes,
I think it's a beautiful thing to think about, that it's actually all out there for us. That these micro moments of positivity resonating between two or more people are out there for the taking.
yep.
And they're out there for the using, and they're out there for the feeling positive and uplifted and motivated to take care of the other people in our lives.
Yes,
And to be good to them and pay them attention.
yes, to voice some things that have been inside me, and I really didn't have a place to take them, and you've given me that with this platform. So I am more than appreciative to you, and love you, Chandler. I mean, even though, like you said, you know, you we haven't been hanging out as whatever as much, but we always, like I would see people that didn't know you, and I was with you, or I would see you and I was with someone that didn't know you, and I would always tell, like, that's my first friend.
Likewise.
Chandler was my first. You were my first friend.
That's,
Like real friend.
yeah, man, that's meaningful. That's super meaningful to me. And likewise, I love you too. And I thank you. I thank you for being my friend and helping me get to the next step, each step, knowing that I had a friend and that someone who knew my mom and took me in and shared their lives with me. And the fact that we didn't keep the friendship always perfectly current. I don't have disappointment for that. I have gratitude for the time that we did.
Yes. Me too. It was always there though. Like you always were my friend.
Agreed. Likewise.
You were, yeah, even when we weren't. Yeah. Like I see you at Berkeley High, and I would always keep my eye on what you were doing.
You paid me attention, my man.
Because yeah. Because I always felt like that we were I never felt like we were friends.
Yeah. I'm so glad. I'm so appreciative that it never felt broken. It just felt distant.
Yeah. Yep. It just felt distant, but you were always around. I was always around. And we would see each other, and every time we saw each other was always love. and you give me a hug, and yeah, so it was never it may have been gone for a little bit. It was never forgotten, and I always thought about you. I always thought about how your mom was doing, and I can remember her smile. Every time I saw her, she was always smiling.
That's a nice image.
It is a nice image.
I really appreciate your time here. Again, your time, your vulnerability, your candor, your willingness to talk to me and to share your story with me, but intended to be bigger than us.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you giving me this time, giving me your time.
My pleasure.
And taking the time to listen to me and pay attention to me. And yeah, this was awesome. This was awesome. This was awesome.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Hometown Friends and this interview with my friend Carvel Watson. I was struck by how immediately we returned to a very familiar and effortless friendship, and by the significant gratitude we each brought to the conversation, even after never really discussing our friendship in this way, or truthfully having a conversation for over 40 years. However, we both seem to feel similarly about the significance of this relationship. I was saddened by the discussion we had about the ways in which certain teachers negatively affected our self-esteem, navigating the educational system that we both grew up in. I also identified with his feelings of fear and anxiety about being teased or bullied, which was so prevalent in middle school, but often not rectified because of the limitations of the school staff to know about it, and to our own unwillingness to discuss it when it occurred because of the feelings of powerlessness. Carvel's experience of a lack of community and the loss of his close friends he once enjoyed was even more poignant because of the loneliness and isolation that's so prevalent in our society. This sense of loss is called ambiguous grief because these people are not dead or even gone for good. They're just not currently involved in our lives. And many of these friendships are like ghosts haunting us with the questions of why they didn't continue, or ultimately questioning our own self-worth or significance to these friendships. This is often a prolonged experience that continues as we get older, and of course was made more pronounced by the COVID-19 pandemic. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's seminal book on death and dying helped identify that grief is a process that often includes 5 stages: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. However, we rarely experience grief in a linear way. In my professional work with divorcing people, I often say to the children and the parents that I work with that all relationships end, and that grieving the loss of relationships or the dreams for the future is inevitable for everyone, and that having others to discuss the difficult feelings with is how we process the emotions and make meaning of the experience. I feel privileged that Carvel was so honest with me, and I feel more connected to him after this discussion, so much that I recently invited him to go to a concert with me to see another hometown friend perform. Examples of human kindness and willingness to connect are often available to all of us, exemplified by Carvel's story of the singing Trader Joe's employee. These brief encounters allow us to imbue ourselves with significant and meaningful moments of positivity. These experiences are not to be disregarded or underappreciated, as they are what preeminent emotion researcher Barbara Fredrickson calls the supreme emotional experience in her book, Love 2.0. In her research, she argues that love is an experience not confined to intimate partnerships, but is available to all of us if we learn the neurobiological truths that emotions are all microseconds long, and the cultivation of positive emotions can spring from all connecting human experiences. The micro moments of positivity that resonate between humans broaden our perspectives and build our psychological resources. If you're connecting with the human experience of this podcast or have a hometown friend connection story to tell, please reach out to me on Instagram at Hometown Friends Pod, or friend me on Facebook. If you really want to support this podcast, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow this podcast on Apple or Spotify. And please rate the show and leave a comment on any of these platforms. If you do, I'll keep producing these episodes. Thanks for listening and stay connected.